Imagine standing in an open field and hearing a low rumble in the distance. Not thunder, not a storm, but a machine so massive it shakes the ground beneath your feet. These aren't just tractors. These are mechanical monsters. Farm machines so enormous, so overpowered, and so extreme that you'd swear they were illegal to drive anywhere outside a battlefield. Welcome to the world of oversized agricultural insanity, where the only rule is too much is never enough. In this video, we're counting down 10 monster farm machines that should be illegal to drive. The biggest, baddest, most jaw-dropping rigs ever built to tear through soil like it's paper and make modern equipment look like lawn toys. These beasts come equipped with aircraft-sized engines, tires taller than grown men, and enough horsepower to tow a small village. Some were born out of necessity for mega-scale farming. Others, pure engineering flex. Whether it's a one-off prototype built to show off or a high-powered production model meant to dominate the open plains, each of these machines is a bold reminder that farming isn't always slow and simple. It can be loud, dangerous, and absolutely thrilling. From tractors that dwarf your pickup truck to diesel-powered giants that belong in a Mad Max film, these machines laugh in the face of limits. Are they awesome? Absolutely. Are they terrifying? Definitely. Should they be street legal? That's up for debate. One thing's for sure, these aren't just tools, they're titans. So buckle in and hold tight, because we're about to unleash the full fury of farming's most insane creations. Let's get into it. Number 10, the versatile 1150 Big Roy is easily one of the most extreme tractors ever built, a rolling monument to sheer agricultural audacity. Created in 1977 by Versatile of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Big Roy wasn't intended for mass production. It was a one-off engineering statement built to show just how far tractor design could go when boundaries were ignored. Named after company founder Roy Robinson, it was purpose-built for the wide-open prairie farms of Western Canada, where covering massive acreage quickly and efficiently required power on an entirely different scale. At its heart was a Cummins KTA 1150 engine, an industrial-grade 12-cylinder diesel displacing more than 19 liters and generating a thunderous 500 horsepower, making it one of the most powerful tractors of its era. That power was delivered through all 12 wheels, with 8 massive flotation tires carrying its enormous 27-ton bulk across soft fields with reduced soil compaction. Measuring over 30 feet long and equipped with an articulated frame, Big Roy could still turn with surprising precision for its size, while its rear-mounted engine helped distribute weight evenly and kept the front end clear for a commanding operator view. The cab itself was ahead of its time, fully enclosed, air-conditioned, and outfitted with a wraparound control panel that gave the driver the feeling of piloting a futuristic machine rather than a conventional farm tractor. The distinctive clamshell-style engine cover, bold red and yellow paint scheme, and aggressive stance made it look more like a military land vehicle than anything you'd expect to find on a farm. While only one was ever built, it left a lasting impact on agricultural design and became an icon in farming folklore. Today, Big Roy is preserved at the Manitoba Agricultural Museum, fully restored and still awe-inspiring in both scale and ambition. It remains a testament to what happens when innovation is pushed to its limits. Not just a machine, but a legend. If you had the chance, would you dare to take the wheel of farming's most monstrous prototype? Number 9, the Upton 2WD tractor from Australia is one of the most monstrous and unapologetically overbuilt two-wheel drive machines the world has ever seen. A true behemoth born from necessity and brute force logic. Built in the 1970s by Upton Engineering in Corowa, New South Wales, this giant was developed to serve Australia's vast, flat wheat belt, where farmers needed raw pulling power more than maneuverability or finesse. What they got was an agricultural tank, powered by a Cummins 512 diesel engine, producing an earth-moving 600 horsepower. The Upton two-wheel drive was engineered to dominate the horizon, with a single-driven axle and no apologies. Weighing in at over 24 tons and stretching nearly 30 feet long, it could haul the largest tillage equipment of its time through the harsh, sun-baked soils of inland Australia, with relentless authority. Despite having only two-wheel drive, its sheer weight and massive rear tires gave it the grip needed to move anything in its path. Unlike articulated four-wheel drive tractors, the Upton was fixed frame, relying on brute strength and traction rather than complexity. Its cab was surprisingly modern for the era, elevated, spacious, and designed for long hours in harsh conditions, with an unobstructed forward view and essential operator comforts. Upton built only a handful of these giants, each customized for serious landowners and contractors, and they were never intended to be mass-market machines. Today, they are legendary not just for their rarity, but for their sheer scale and raw capability. The Upton 2WD was a machine that didn't try to be clever or refined. It simply dared to be bigger and stronger than anything else around. It redefined what a two-wheel drive tractor could be by taking the idea to an extreme no one else had imagined. Would you have the nerve to drive a two-wheel drive monster that could out-muscle most four-wheelers of its time? Number 8. The Big Bud 16. Heim 747 isn't just a tractor. It's the undisputed heavyweight champion of the farming world. A mechanical titan that dwarfs everything in its path and redefines the meaning of large-scale agriculture. Built in 1977 by Northern Manufacturing Company in Havre, Montana, and custom-ordered by the Rossi brothers in California, this one-of-a-kind machine was designed with a single mission: to move more earth, pull more iron, and conquer more acres than anything before it. At the core of this metal giant is a Detroit diesel 16x92T engine, a 16-cylinder, two-stroke powerhouse producing an eye-watering 1,100 horsepower, nearly double what most high-horsepower tractors offer today. Coupled with a massive rear differential and custom-built drivetrain components, the 16 V747 puts every ounce of that power to work across 8 tires taller than a grown man. Weighing in at over 65 tons and stretching 27 feet long, this fixed-frame four-wheel drive monster was capable of pulling a 100-foot-wide cultivator and covering over 1 acre per minute, making it an absolute weapon for massive farms in the American West. Its sheer weight and traction allowed it to dominate the toughest conditions without breaking a sweat, while the elevated cab provided operators with a commanding view and relative comfort for long working hours. Despite its industrial size, the 16 V747 was surprisingly nimble for fieldwork, and its no-nonsense build emphasized rugged reliability over electronics. Only one was ever built, and after years of service and restoration, it now resides at the Heartland Museum in Iowa, where it remains the largest farm tractor ever built. The Big Bud 16 V747 wasn't just a piece of equipment, it was an agricultural juggernaut, a record breaker, and a mechanical legend. Would you take the wheel of the biggest, baddest tractor the world has ever known? Number 7. The Allis-Chalmers 7580 was a bold and monstrous leap into the four-wheel drive world from a company already known for pushing boundaries, and while it may not have broken records in sheer size, it carved out its place in tractor history through raw innovation and imposing presence. Released in 1976 as Allis-Chalmers' first true articulated four-wheel drive tractor, the 7580 arrived at a time when horsepower wars were heating up across the Midwest, and large-scale farmers were demanding more muscle and traction to handle ever-growing implements. Powering this beast was an Allis-Chalmers 426 turbocharged diesel engine, delivering around 220 horsepower, massive for its time, and channeled through a unique 12-speed power director transmission that gave operators more flexibility in the field. With its heavy-duty articulated frame, the 7580 could twist through tight turns while still applying serious pulling force through all 4 wheels, making it perfect for wide open fields where straight-line grunt was key. The machine tipped the scales at over 20 tons, stood nearly 12 feet tall, and boasted a footprint that demanded respect even when parked. Its cab, perched high over the rear frame, offered unmatched visibility, solid ergonomics, and creature comforts that marked a shift toward more operator-focused design in big tractors. Styled with bold, squared-off lines and wrapped in Allis-Chalmers' signature Persian orange, the 7580 looked as aggressive as it worked, Though not the largest of its kind, it was among the first to truly blend brute strength with emerging technology and set the stage for the modern four-wheel drive era. It was an agricultural trailblazer, one that wasn't afraid to look big, act tough, and pull hard. Would you climb into the cab of the machine that helped launch the age of articulated muscle? Number 6. The Case IH-7140 may not have been monstrous in sheer physical size like some articulated giants, but in the world of row crop tractors, it was a beast in its own right. Brutally powerful, ruggedly built, and engineered to outwork anything in its class. Introduced in the late 1980s as part of the legendary Magnum series, the 7140 marked a turning point in tractor design, born from the merger of Case and International Harvester. This machine was built to lead the pack, combining IH's proven engine technology with Case's rock-solid rear ends and a newly designed full power shift transmission that redefined durability. Under the hood roared a turbocharged 8.3-liter inline-six diesel, producing an aggressive 195 horsepower, numbers that punched well above the expectations for mid-size row crop tractors at the time. But it wasn't just raw power that made the 7140 monstrous. It was how effortlessly it delivered it. The 15-speed full power shift allowed operators to change gears under load without clutching, giving unmatched efficiency during heavy tillage or hauling. It weighed nearly 10 tons, planted firmly on massive rear rubber, and could pull serious equipment without breaking a sweat. Its cab was a revelation, quiet, roomy, and built for long hours with better suspension, climate control, and visibility than nearly anything else on the market. The 7140's squared-off red body, iconic sloped hood, and clean lines made it look as tough as it worked, while its reputation for dependability turned it into a long-term favorite across North American farms. Even decades later, many of these machines are still running strong, proving just how overbuilt and ahead of their time they were. The Case IH-7140 wasn't the biggest, but it was a row crop monster in performance, endurance, and legacy. Would you trust a 30-year-old tractor to outpull today's machines? The 7140 makes you think twice. Number 5. The Allis-Chalmers D21 wasn't just a tractor. It was a declaration of war in the horsepower race of the 1960s, and it hit the field like a sledgehammer. Introduced in 1963, the D21 was the largest and most powerful two-wheel drive row crop tractor the world had ever seen at the time, and it marked a bold leap forward for Allis-Chalmers. This machine came standard with a massive 7.0-liter, six-cylinder diesel engine that originally cranked out over 103 horsepower, already industry-leading. But within just a few years, factory turbocharging pushed that number past 125, making it a true torque monster. Its performance shattered expectations and forced competitors to scramble. The D21 could handle tools and loads that previous generations wouldn't dare attempt with two-wheel drive, and it did so with an attitude. With its long, flat-topped hood, sharply styled grille, and wide rear stance, the D21 looked aggressive, modern, and unstoppable. And unlike many tractors of its era, it came standard with big rear rubber, full fenders, and even a platform that prepared the way for future operator comforts. Standing over 10 feet long and tipping the scales at over 8 tons, it brought the kind of presence to the field that demanded attention. But it was more than just looks. It was a workhorse that could run hard all day and still have muscle left over. The D21 became a favorite not only in farming, but also in the tractor pulling world, where its high horsepower potential and sturdy frame made it a legend on the track. For Allis-Chalmers, it was a flagship machine that told the world they weren't playing catch-up anymore. They were leading. The D21 was raw, bold, and bigger than life. Would you dare take the reins of the two-wheel drive beast that changed the game for good? Number 4. The John Deere 8630 was a monstrous leap into big iron territory for a brand already known for dependable muscle. And when it hit the fields in 1975, it sent a clear message. Deere was all in on four-wheel drive power. Towering over its two-wheel drive siblings, the 8630 was Deere's first entry into articulated four-wheel drive tractors, and it didn't hold back. Underneath its hulking frame was a turbocharged 10.1-liter inline-six diesel engine that cranked out around 275 horsepower, massive numbers at the time, and more than enough to rip through the toughest soils with giant implements in tow. It weighed nearly 20 tons, stretched over 20 feet long, and stood tall on duals or massive singles, depending on the configuration. The articulated chassis gave it surprising agility for its size, while full-time four-wheel drive made sure every bit of power hit the dirt with traction to spare. The cab was perched high above the rear axle, offering a panoramic view of the field and a comfortable ride, complete with Deere's signature ergonomic controls and early climate features that made long workdays more bearable. Styled in classic green and yellow with bold lines and an imposing stance, the 8630 looked every bit the brute it was. While its early years were plagued by rear-end reliability issues, Deere addressed many of those in later models, and farmers who got them dialed in swore by their raw strength and pulling ability. The 8630 wasn't just another big tractor. It was Deere's first real shot at dominating the high horsepower, large acreage market, and it brought size, force, and presence like few machines before it. Would you have the guts to wrangle this green giant across the open prairie and feel the full force of John Deere's entry into the big leagues? Number 3. The Case 1470. Traction King was a mechanical brute that brought monstrous force and forward-thinking design to the dawn of the articulated four-wheel drive era, shaking up the tractor world with a level of power and presence few had seen before. Introduced in 1971, the 1470 was Case's first in-house attempt at a full four-wheel drive, articulated tractor, and they didn't dip a toe in. They went all in with a machine that looked like it came from the future and pulled like a locomotive. At its core was a turbocharged 504 cubic inch six-cylinder diesel engine pumping out up to 165 horsepower, a serious figure for the early 70s and enough to turn heads among large acreage operators needing more traction, torque, and tool handling capacity than two-wheel drive machines could offer. Weighing over 8 tons and riding on 4 equal-sized wheels, the 1470 used a rugged articulated frame and mechanical front and rear drives to claw through fields with relentless grip, tackling heavy tillage, seeding, and drawbar loads like a machine possessed. But it wasn't just the muscle, it was the bold, futuristic design that made it instantly iconic. With its squared, angular body, high-mounted cab over the rear axle, and signature Traction King badging across its steel skin, the 1470 looked more like a piece of military hardware than a farm tractor. The cab, while basic by today's standards, was elevated and spacious, offering excellent visibility and controls thoughtfully arranged for real-world use. Farmers quickly learned the 1470 could turn tighter, pull harder, and ride smoother in rough conditions than almost anything else in its weight class. This tractor didn't just move dirt, it moved the industry forward, helping to usher in the articulated power era and establishing Case as a serious player in the big tractor game. Built tough, built bold, and built to dominate, the Case 1470 was an iron-fisted trailblazer with a name that perfectly captured its mission. Would you take the wheel of the machine that brought traction and torque together in one unapologetic package? Number 2. The Steiger Puma 1000 was a limited production Leviathan, an ultra-rare, no-compromise tractor that took everything monstrous about four-wheel drive farming machines and cranked it to 11. Built in the early 1980s during the peak of Steiger's dominance in the high-horsepower market, the Puma 1000 wasn't designed for mass production or small operations. It was built for serious operators managing thousands of acres who needed relentless torque, maximum pulling power, and a machine that could laugh in the face of heavy ground and massive implements. At the heart of this green beast roared a Cummins KTA 1150, a mammoth 19-liter six-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine, known for powering industrial equipment and big rigs. In the Puma 1000, it unleashed over 400 horsepower, an insane figure for its time, putting it well beyond the reach of most competitors and even outmuscling many articulated tractors built decades later. Weighing north of 25 tons, with an articulated frame and massive equal-sized wheels, the Puma planted all that power to the ground with full-time four-wheel drive, delivering traction and control that allowed it to pull one-pass tillage rigs and air seeders across endless prairie fields with absolute authority. It didn't just work, it conquered. The cab was perched high and wide, offering panoramic views of the land it devoured, and while it was relatively bare bones, it was all about functionality and long-haul comfort for serious operators. Built in small numbers, likely less than a dozen, the Puma 1000 remains one of the rarest Steigers ever made, and its sheer size, output, and industrial-grade construction have made it a legend among tractor collectors and big iron enthusiasts. It looked like something out of a military motor pool, square, intimidating, and brutally capable. This wasn't a tractor for the faint of heart. It was for those who wanted to command one of the most powerful machines agriculture had ever seen. Would you step up and tame this green giant, or just stand back and watch history thunder past? Number 1. The Steiger Wildcat was a stripped-down powerhouse, an honest-to-goodness mechanical beast that brought monstrous strength to the mid-size four-wheel drive tractor market with zero apologies and all the torque. Built during the 1970s and early 1980s, the Wildcat was one of the smaller members of Steiger's fearsome big iron family, but it still roared like a giant when put to work. At its core was the rugged Cummins NTC 8.5 5.6-cylinder turbo diesel engine, a heavy-duty power plant delivering around 200 horsepower in early models. Later creeping up closer to 220, which for the era was a serious number for a machine built to work thousands of acres. Paired with a manual transmission or optional power shift depending on configuration, it delivered raw, controllable power to all four massive wheels through an articulated chassis that was built to flex and claw through rough terrain without losing traction. Despite being technically entry-level in Steiger's lineup, the Wildcat tipped the scales at over 7 tons and stretched more than 20 feet, with a stance that looked like it belonged on a battlefield as much as a farm. The equal-sized wheels, massive axles, and simple driveline layout gave it incredible durability, making it a favorite for farmers who needed something that could haul wide cultivators, heavy drills, and grain carts without skipping a beat. Its cab, though basic compared to modern machines, was elevated, roomy, and practical, offering commanding visibility and just enough comfort to keep operators going through 12-hour days. What truly made the Wildcat monstrous wasn't just its power, it was its toughness, its no-nonsense design, and its role in getting big work done without breaking the bank or breaking down. Finished in Steiger's unmistakable lime green with industrial steel panels and zero styling fluff, it looked like pure function on wheels. The Wildcat was never about flash. It was a growling, grease-covered, high-torque reminder that even a smaller Steiger was still an absolute unit in the field. Would you dare fire up this green brute and feel what real mid-weight muscle used to be?